Hi guys, and welcome back to another of my videos. This time I want to explain you the modification about the resin body that I produced last year in 2019, and let's take any trail gloves. This is a little tip that probably too many of you already know, but I didn't know in the beginning, so it's always better to manage your stuff with a nitrile or latex glove to avoid to let fingerprints all over and dust and oil. I just had the coffee, so here it is the body. The body is referred to the Honda NSX GT3, the Evo version used in 2019. I produced the version used in 2018 that was different in the rear part of the body and in the front bumper as well as the bonnet louvers. So I started from one of my resin body. You see, this is not the master, this is not the part that I made in the original model, starting from the Tamiya body kit, the Tamiya new NSX. I think code is 24344, but check it out better. And the company producing this car is the Italian Yes Motorsport. Honda Corse. It is the Italian branch of the Japanese company just preparing racing cars for rally and for GT competitions. They were the same manufacturer making the DTM cars in the 90s, the Red Martini Alpha 155. It was made by them, so it's a company that have an incredible skill in preparing race cars. And I was lucky because I still have friends in the company that give me some tips and provide some information to build up at my best that body. So I'm particularly satisfied with the result that I had. Of course, it's a very particular car, because it's an Acura. Mostly it's an American racer, and it is not so common as ordinary Ferrari or Porsches. And I wanted to create that model, following as much as I can all the pictures that I found online and asking just tips. The company have still company secrets that I cannot absolutely share, but it is, for example, interesting to listen to them because, for example, on this specific model, I hear from them that the original body part of the car they made the same as I did in my model. So they started with an evolution of the car made in 2017 and 2018, and then they made the latest version in 2019 with a better aerodynamics, very similar to the Audi R8 racing in the same competition, in the same category. So the company was absolutely useful because they told me I could not understand in the beginning I hope you can see good from light. My little contour is always a little problematic. I hope you can see quite good the modification that I did. In the beginning I said I was not understanding at my best the lines of the rear part of the car, mostly because this part, all the rear bumper have been completely remolded by them, and it's mostly features better extractor area. Down here there should be, I cannot make it now because I don't have right now a kit of the NSX. I have to buy another one to finish this model, but I wanted to prepare the body at my best to have it ready and maybe plan for casting. Later on I will explain why this can be in this specific model a little problematic to make molds and to make copies in resin. And as I did in my model, they basically cutted out all the rear hatch of the car, and they rebuilt completely all this structure, with the different vents and louvers and the structure for the rear part. And another big difference that you can see clearly from the Evo car, it is mostly about the front wheel arch, 7 vents. They have 7 little vents that in the original model they are holed, because it's completely very thin carbon fiber. I have my folder with a lot of picture that I made on the real racer when I crossed the company making private tests in Monza or in Misano World Circuit. So I had a lot of picture of this specific part because I wanted to understand as best as I could the modification that I had to apply to my body, as well as they reopened. In the original model they were closed. If you see, for example, the Castrol car, They were closed at these front louvers. I think they are for brakes or for radiator. I don't know. I guess for brakes, but I'm not sure because inside I never had the opportunity to check them carefully. Where do they end, you know? In the original NSX, the original car is an hybrid car, so she has two engines, a thermical engine and an electrical engine, you know. Instead, the Racer have only a V8 turbo powered by Cosworth, and so there is no frontal part of the electric engine, so all this part is used by radiator electronics. I don't know honestly what it is inside. So the biggest modification ever, it is around the front part. So here we have the different air intakes in the bonnet and in the front wheel arch. Of course, also the front lips, exactly as the Audi R8, have a different configuration. You see, it's curved in the central part, and from above it is much shorter. I hope you can see that quite clearly from here. I say the light is never my best. I should organize with some more lamps, you know. And as you can see, the line is different from the original model. The guys that have bought my first kit, the 218 NSX car, they will remember that in front of here there is a much longer spoiler. You know, probably they changed the aerodynamics in this moment. As I said before, I'm not so sure that I can produce this model because technically, you know, when we make the casting of the car in this position, I like to have models made in one single piece. What I personally hate is usually to make alignments between the front end and the rear end, because every time it's very easy to lose completely the line of the model, the line of the car. So I am not so sure that I can mold this, because you know the difference in the front part is nearly all the front end. It's small parts, you know, from some guys. I had some very skilled modelers that bought my model, and I'm honored for it because they are really incredible. So they can absolutely do amazing models, and I hope to see them finished soon. They had from me this little part, you know, it's just a little piece of resin I have somewhere here because I casted part of them. It is just a specific and quite precise series of vents. You need 7 for each side. It is 7 here and 7 here, as well as you have 7 little flares here, you know. So this is still a modification that modelers can do by their own. You know, you have to cut the part that is completely flat in the original model and place inside the vent, curving that. It's resin work, so I'm not so sure that it can be something an easy task for a modeler that just want to enjoy a build up. You know, my idea when I do this stuff is never to have a serious profit or something big and whatever. I just want somebody that like the model to enjoy my build and use my part and just enjoy it as best as they could. You know, if it have to become a pain to fix, to cut and so on, I already been there, you know, when you have to cut and go mad. Even more around the resin stuff that comes expensive, complicated, easy to break, so it's not so easy at all. That's why I'm not so sure. The rear part indeed will be probably the easiest because it should be enough. I already engraved a lot with micro saw the lines that can be cut, so the idea should be exactly as in the real model, to cut over this line, cut here, cut under the fake brake line. In this car the brake light is here, cut here and here, so all this rear part could be printed separately from the original body, you know. But again, I would like, maybe if you want to leave a comment or some ideas, you know, I will do the last one deciding it, but I am not so sure that this can be printable as it is in this part. You know, the best should be that I can tell you, okay, you buy my part, you buy the Evolution car with the wheels, you know, guys, that I bought this model that I made the wheels in 3D with Andrea Brivi, with KMP, very well done in 3D printed resin, you know. So the wheels, the kit is very nice and not so hard to finish, you know. But instead, in this particular version, that can become a little problematic. Not completely for the real part. The real part is complicated to build by your own, because as some modelers, very experienced modelers too, so sorry, I'm so happy when experienced modeler place constructive comments, you know, on my builds. That is the best ever. They also noted that the hardest part that you only can achieve with experience is to make these louvers, these flares, these vents symmetrical in the other side. I have my own tricks that if you check carefully my picture, you will see them, the one that I posted in Facebook or the one that I post in my Google photo gallery about the car. And so I have my tricks to keep them symmetrical in all the line, and to avoid that one is up, one is down, one goes complicated, you know. And in this particular model, so I was thinking that the guy that have to do this job by themselves is also tricky, because you have to cut resin parts. So when you have to glue, you have to glue with super glue, charnocrylate glue, that don't allow you to have so many so much time to make the correct position for the vent. So it can be extremely, this is a tricky part to build by your own. So for me, it will be instead quite easy to cast it. But this part, the front part, this will be, I think, quite more easy. You know, this is enough that if you look under the model that you get also my resin part, there is still the mark of the original Tamiya kit. I didn't cut them away, I didn't scratch them away when I made the casting, because I wanted to leave them for this future purpose, you know. And probably this also can be a little problematic part, because you have to bend resin and you have to sand in a position where it's easy to take away details, or also to lose the lines of the curved front wheel arch. So this is something that is anyway quite possible to be made by your own. This is probably the hardest part. I don't really know at today. My only point and the purpose of this video was only to present this conversion that I did. Remember that actually also at today there is very few decal sheets around. I have a guy that is incredibly skilled at making my decals, but honestly I cannot ask him from a complete wrap. All these Evo cars, if you look the Acura Racing in America and all over USA, they are completely wrapped and different color in pink, in blue, so it's a very complicated livery. My purpose should be probably that this the risk of this will remain a kind of one-off, and I can finish in carbon fiber with the logo NSX GT3 all over the factory car, you know, the car that goes around for test and so on, before they apply the wrap or the new evolution over the cars that are around the world. I think today they build it up in reality something around 30 cars, you know, 2 or 3 are completely destroyed in crashes, but nearly 30 are still around and racing. So that's it, guys. This is my 2019 and 2020 Honda NSX GT3 Evo version. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.